you've built your whole philosophy around the opposite of that, of marketing independence, and we all like the word independence, it's America, right? Like that, this feels good, but what does that actually mean? And can you break down why that's so important?
Yeah, absolutely. So we break down marketing independence into 5 different
Mm-hmm.
categories. I already spoke to a couple of them, but the first one would be carrier dependency.
Mm-hmm.
That's not just on the captive side, but we've seen independents that are too reliant on specific carriers as well. The next would be key person risk almost. So, person dependency, where maybe you have one person that's in charge of all of your referral relationships. If you
Mm-hmm.
are, going after, mortgage brokers or things like that, and one person owns all those relationships, or you have one producer. I was just talking to a client today who unfortunately lost their best producer that was pulling in 180 policies a month for them. And now they have
Mm-hmm.
to replace that, right? And this, insurance agency owner knew that this was coming and was preparing for it, but it doesn't make it any easier when that day comes, right? The next one would be channel dependency. So, for example, if you are a insurance agency that's built your entire book off of direct mail, I know those exist,
Mm-hmm.
and postage continues to rise in cost, right? Doesn't mean that the direct mail isn't getting there, but it's getting more and more expensive to send
Mm-hmm.
that mail. And all of a sudden that's cutting into your margins because you
Mm-hmm.
haven't diversified your mix. The last ones would be platform dependence. So this probably is more up your alley, even David, but things like when TikTok was going through a potential ban in the US, if
Mm-hmm.
you had been over reliant on that platform, then all of a sudden it was maybe not going to be available in the entire country. What are you doing now? And then the last one is vendor dependence. And we hit on that a little bit, but
Mm-hmm.
it's good to rely on vendors if they're doing things for you that you don't know how to do. But you need to make sure that you're educated on what you actually own that they're producing for you and the terms of the engagement as well, so that it's not getting to the point where it's too late before you have to make a call to move to another vendor, and all of a sudden you realize that maybe you don't own the Google ad account that they set up for you or the website that they created for you, and you're almost in golden handcuffs at that point, right?
Yeah, I've seen that over and over. Relying on a very specific vendor, or obviously on the captive sides, if they have particular setups of like we either have to use this or everything comes through because maybe we have negotiated rates, but doesn't make the quality of what we're getting necessarily any better, and we don't own it, or moving from a system and all of a sudden it disappears once I've moved from that system of even leads that I've purchased, right? So that definitely hidden risks. And with all those things you mentioned, do you view that more as like a spectrum, like as you're overall you're looking to achieve more and more independence and control, especially as you grow? Because like a scratch agency or solo run agency, there's going to be some key man dependence or key person dependence there, but over time I look to get more and more independent and control there. Is this more of a spectrum as you look at different agencies?
Absolutely. Yeah. And we typically see it as agencies grow in size is when it becomes more important. So typically when you're between that 0 and $1 million annual recurring revenue mark is when, hey, maybe that you have some dependencies, but it doesn't matter, right? I'm grinding. I need to rely on this key producer to bring in business. Once you get to that $1 to $4 million kind of annual recurring revenue mark is when I would recommend starting to think about diversifying your new business channels and diversifying the risk that you have so that you don't have to start back at ground zero if something unforeseen does happen.